Hi, everybody. Welcome to Free Help. So excited to talk about documents. And in case you don't believe me, I did just recently post about Filevine's document management on my LinkedIn. So verified document nerd here. Before we start getting into all of the different features of document management, I want to be super clear for anybody who might not be up to speed on our Filevine terminology. So we do have document upload fields inside of all of your sections. Your sections are going to be your options over here on the left. So this would be a field, a file upload field where you put a document. Your documents section is entirely separate over here. And it's important to understand the relationship. Anything you put into a document upload field will end up in your document section. It does not go the other way. If you put something in your document section, you do have it available for any field, but it will not do that automatically. So, excuse me, very important relationship to get. That does take some time just to kind of feel out how things are working together. Now, if we go into our intake section and we come back into this field, document upload field. What I really, really appreciate about all of these document upload fields is that you can code them inside the customs editor to go where you need them to be. So this is a common question that we get all of the time. How do I get my documents in order? I've got all of these folders and the folders don't mean anything. If that is the case inside of your org, just ask your Filevine admin to come in and code that to go where you want it to. So I'm going to show you that right now, just so you can see the magic happen, because I love it when people can see the magic happen. I'm going to come into my advanced tools, my customs editor. We are in Vine Skills. There you
I know, I
are.
always wish there was like a search bar in the
No.
templates.
All right, here is my pictures of injuries. It is already being auto-tagged with pictures of injuries, super helpful so that you can just search for it without having to remember where it is. And right now it's being moved into the folder photos. Very good folder choice, super obvious. These are pictures and we want them to go there. So if I was to upload a document in here, let's just move this. Don't look at my stuff. My documents are a mess. Gonna do this one. I'm going to save this section, come into my document section. Inside of our photos, boom, there's my document. Just pretend that it's actually a picture. Fun fact about me, I recently switched to a Mac, so all of my stuff is in weird places. So that is the point though. I put it into an upload field. It's got a hashtag on it. It's in the folder I need it to be. Everything is happy in our world. And the reason that I want to emphasize this over and over again is because when we're coming from a different management system, maybe we're coming from just using SharePoint, we've never had a case management system, everybody is going to be very comfortable inside the document section. And it's going to be first nature to go to your document section and upload what you need into that photos. But if you just choose the field that already exists for your comfort and convenience, it's going to do all of the work for you in the back end. We just need to make sure that we're talking to our Filevine admins about what kinds of stuff we want to see. Now, all of that established, inside of our actual document section, it's where we can do a ton of stuff. So first I want to start in our parent folder. Your parent folder by default is always going to be named whatever your project name is. So you'll see we have our org name first, and then our top parent folder is the name of the project. You can change that if you want to by just clicking it over on the left-hand navigation. But generally speaking, that works just fine for most people. Also a fun fact, if you click on this little folder icon, it's going to change your navigation to move these up at the top to keep your sections visible. If you do want that tree view over on the left, it condenses your sections over there so that your page isn't out of control. Personally, I will always prefer the tree view. I don't like it up at the top. It makes me crazy. So what we're looking at here is very familiar to us, regardless of where you're coming from, unless you existed only on pen and paper. This is a very familiar screen to us. We don't have to figure out a whole lot of stuff to look at our documents. But there's going to be a lot of information that you have available to you. For example, we can see the last day it was updated. We can see who uploaded it, what size it is. Very helpful for our larger PDFs, especially if you've got similarly titled things, but you know one of them is 1,000 pages, right? We also have the option, fairly new, that Filevine just rolled out after many, many asks, to switch this into thumbnail view. Your thumbnail view is going to give you just a quick peek. This is super helpful if you've got that photos folder and they're all named nonsense because they came off of a client's cell phone. I want to find the picture of the car's front wheel. I switch it to thumbnail view. I immediately find the one that I'm looking for. So super important pro tip for all of us, thumbnail view.
And if you all are not seeing that thumbnail view yet, it will be rolled out to kind of like everybody. You'll usually get a pop-up in Filevine when you come in and they have a new feature. So once you see that, you'll know that this is available. If you're ever interested in having these things turned on before they are like widely available to everybody, you can go to that little question mark and the beta releases, and then you can say, hey, I'm interested in this beta release, and you can join. This was, again, as Val mentioned, one of the ones that they released around Lex, their annual conference, and they released a ton others during that time too. So feel free to always poke around so that you can get these awesome new features.
They are wonderful, all of them. So let's say we want to stay back in our list view. If we click on a document and we have our panel open over here on the right, also a tip, if you don't have this panel, it's just this tiny little I button. That's our info to get our info. So I'm going to click on this document. It's going to give me a preview. Just like the title tells me, this is a blank document. Great job, whoever put this in here. Let's do a combined document. And we can see that first page. This is something with a whole bunch of redactions. I can make this bigger, or I can click on my load full preview, and that's going to give us the rest of the pages down here. Also a tip, a lot of people I will see using this eyeball, which is going to open it up into another tab. It is always going to be my recommendation to just double click on that, save your wrist the extra movement of getting down to that eyeball. But inside of our info tab, in addition to the preview, we've got all of these other tabs up top. So we start out with our information, which is going to be all of our document properties. What is the folder path? When was it updated? And any tags that was in. This attached to fields is very, very, very helpful to us. And it's something that a lot of people will miss inside of their document properties. So for example, I can see that this PDF does not exist anywhere except for inside this document section because it's not attached to a field. If I come into my photos and I find that update that I just put in here, it's going to tell me it already has this hashtag, and the field that is in is intake pictures of injuries. And you can see when I hover over it, it's telling me I can go to that field right now. So let's click it. And here we are in intake, and there is my document. Amazing. And this is a really nice one for me because I very often have that question, where did this come from? When we're going through our document section. So it's just telling you this is already in that field. It's not attached to any project notes. That's going to be in your activity feed. Another really, really helpful thing for everybody to know, because oftentimes we'll see in the activity feed a long conversation about that document. So if you can't find your conversation inside the activity feed because you've got a whole bunch of stuff that happened after that, if you go to the document, it's going to give you the link to get back to that conversation. A+ tip, everybody do that. Your Vine sign is, of course, going to give you a link straight into your Vine sign in case you need to send this out for signature. If you do not have Vine sign and you send out a lot of e-signatures, I very strongly recommend that you reach out to your Filevine rep and talk about it, because it is one of the best e-signatures that exists. It also is the one that, of course, works the best with our Filevine. And then all the way at the bottom, we've got all of our more detailed properties. Who is the original author? Who updated it? What kind of application was it made in? And then all the way down at the bottom, you'll see your index and your OCR. Very important note, if you do have Docs Plus, if you've got OCR enabled, we'll often see a delay on the OCR for very, very large PDFs. It doesn't mean it's not working. It's just taking a little bit of time. So don't worry. The OCR inside of Filevine's document management is actually extremely impressive. I have seen a lot of doctor's notes with just like that scrawling handwritten note, and Filevine wonderfully and very kindly interprets it for us, because I know I cannot read those. Now, in our next tab, this backwards arrow, this is going to be our versions. So just like in, for example, Microsoft Word or maybe Google Docs, you're going to be able to see all of the prior versions of that document. Now, this versions tab is very exciting for me because not only is it going to show you all of the other versions, but it's also going to give you a very easy link to see what it was. And when we get into the editing, I'm going to show you how to navigate those. But in our actions, which is also a new addition, we can edit the version info. So I'm going to put in a description, first version by Val needs work, because it does. So now anybody who comes into this project is going to see all of the notes that you put into these different versions. So let's say, for example, you're collaborating on this document with multiple other people. You do your first version, somebody comes in, they do a bunch of edits. You might have all of your red lines, you might have a bunch of strike throughs. If you open up that version, you can see all of them, but I don't need that much detail. I just need the 1,000-foot view of it, right? You know, pretend I'm an attorney and I'm coming in. Why are there 17 versions of this? Here's a 1-sentence summary. Took out language regarding XYZ. Your upload a new version is also a very good tool for you. Let's say that we are being very irresponsible in our document management and we decided to make a new draft of a document on our computer saved locally. Oh no, I forgot. I wasn't editing in Filevine. This is a local copy. Then you upload it and you've got 17 different versions that all have their own versions. We can skip all that. If you click on this upload new version, it's going to do the same thing as if you had edited in Filevine, and it's just going to add to that version list, as opposed to having two different documents that you now have to manage. And then in our last tab, this is going to be our shared links. In the event that you do need to share something externally, if you're familiar with sharing out of SharePoint or sharing out of Google Docs or Dropbox, and you have my sympathies if you are still using Dropbox, please don't do that anymore. We do have the ability to create those external links for somebody to come in and see our documents without having access to Filevine. So anything that has been shared, and you'll see we've got an example in here already, there's going to be a little tiny person on it. And this is going to be our visual clue to anybody coming into this doc section that we have shared in. So if I click on this folder, for example, and I come to my share link tab, I'm the one who created this. It was December. It expires in March. Easy peas. I can also come in and click this and remove that link. I decided whoever I shared this with no longer needs access, so I'm going to remove that access. They shouldn't have it anymore. I can also just change the expiration date. Instead of having them be able to access this through 2048, I am giving them 7 additional days. So get your stuff together, expert who I have shared this with. Time is running out.
And you do have the option to share individual documents or full folders. So if there are several documents that you want to share out, you can make whoever you're sharing its life a little bit easier by combining those into a folder and sharing that out.
Yeah, super, super great tip. My best recommendation for using a share link for an entire folder of documents is to always name that folder. So anybody coming into your project is going to know exactly why you have that shared folder. So for example, medical records shared with expert Dr. John on January 8th. Now we get to come into some very fun things. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff up here at the top outside of our info sheet. Going to the left out of info, we've got an upload file if you have something locally stored that you need to put in. If you've gotten something via email and you're not using your Outlook add-in, which if you have Outlook, please do use your Outlook add-in, you can upload something that you have saved on your computer. This one, which reminds me of the thing that you use to figure out where the water is, this is our merge. So if you have 2 different documents inside of Filevine, or if you've got one in Filevine and one on your computer, you can merge those into one document. Batestamp is a very fun one for me. I really like Filevine's Batestamps because it's super easy. So you pick whatever document you want. I'm just going to do the one. When you configure it, you put in your prefix. So let's just say we're doing discovery. I'm going to do 4 digits and it's starting at 1. If we click on our advanced options, it's going to ask you, where do you want it to be? Do you want a bigger margin for it? Do you want it to do all the pages, just the one? And then you can pick your font. It is not going to give you the option to change the color. I get that question a ton, but considering how many things we are able to do without having to go back to our very expensive Adobe Pro accounts, I think this is a great solution. Once you apply the bait stamp to that document, you can see it's pending. She's thinking a little bit. It's going to, by default, put it into a document folder called bait stamp documents. This is super helpful for us because, as you all know, when you come into your documents and you're trying to find that one set of documents that has been bait stamped, it can be super hard if you haven't changed the title of that. So Filevine very kindly puts it into a bait stamp documents folder so that we don't have to do quite so much work finding it. Continuing on, and I'm going to keep one of my blank docs. This little icon is for a new blank document, and this can be used for a lot of different things. One of the ones that I see it used for the most is when you're putting together exhibits and you need to put in those center pages. So exhibit A, exhibit 1, etc. Using a blank document is also very easy if you are starting a draft and you're following best practices and not starting that draft on your computer. So let's say I don't have a template for a letter that I'm sending out to opposing counsel. I'm just going to start a blank document, do all of my edits still inside of Filevine so I don't have to go back and remember, oh, I need to upload this to Filevine. It only lives on my computer and nobody else can see it because we don't like that. Our three-dot menu is going to give us a lot of stuff, and a lot of these options do exist in other places. So example, our very first option is to download it. You can see we've got a download option right there. A preview, again, you can just double click that to open it up in a new tab. Email document is going to create a .eml file with this attached. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with right away. This button is not going to send an email. It's going to enable you to have this attachment in an email in whatever email client you're using on your computer. So very important to understand that relationship. Usually it'll pop open a draft in Outlook if that's what you're using. When I switched to this Mac, it started doing it in the Apple Mail, which I immediately disabled. But that is how the email works. It's not sending the email for you. Filevine does not send emails. It opens up whatever you have to be able to send that yourself. If you have faxing enabled, one-click fax is one of the best things that Filevine offers to our clients. We've got tons of people who need to have documents faxed to them. We are no longer printing and scanning ever again. Those days are gone. Please, we don't have to do that. And you do have the option to add in a cover sheet as needed. Convert to PDF is always super exciting for my paralegals. We love this. You start out with a Word document, you do all of your edits, you get all of your feedback. We're going to convert it to a PDF right here. It is one click. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We love it. Guest share is a really fun one. So we talked a little bit about that share link for sending something to an external party. A guest is a very specific user inside of Filevine. So this is somebody that you've added it into your organization as a guest to just see a couple of things. Guests can see by default any notes or documents that you share with them. They're going to see the activity feed, but only the items that you shared with them. And if you do have a document or a set of documents that they need to be able to access, this is where you do that. You can see I've got a couple of different guests in here. I am one of them. Hello, other Val. So I can pick this document and say, Val, you can come and look at this. And that's the only document that you can see. Finishing out our list, VineSign again, another way to send it out for signature, another way to create a share link for just this document. Note this is one of my favorite features that a lot of people just don't use. So let's go back to that scenario where we have multiple versions of a document and there's a long conversation about it in the activity feed. If I go into my activity feed and I start writing a note or I make a task for somebody, I can attach any project document into that note that I want to. Or I can just come here to my documents, find the one that I'm looking for, and click on Note This. It's immediately going to bring up a tiny miniature version of your activity feed. So I can say, at Val, this one. Now I'm going to make this a task. I'm going to save it, and it's going to go directly into my activity feed. So when other Val logs into Filevine and looks at all of her tasks, she's going to see right here, this is my document. I can click it open and I can do all of my edits and make any notes as needed. So note this, we love it, use it. After that, you can rename a document. This one is a little bit tricky for people to find. So if you've ever wondered, why can't I rename any of my documents? It's because it's in this menu. It's not a right click. Move or copy is a really important one. So this is going to let us move it into different folders or make a copy in another folder. An external share link is a really great example of making a copy of a document rather than moving it. You want to have yours that you guys are actively working on, and this is the version that we're sending to our expert, for example. You can also move to a different project. So let's say I want to move this to bug, because actually this was not ever supposed to be in this project. It was a total accident. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to move this over to bug, and it's no longer here in our project. So no worries. And this is another one that comes up without people realizing that it's an option. They'll download it, delete it, go to their other project and upload it. We don't have to do that anymore. Just move it. And then finishing out tags gives you a little pop-up to add in any tags that you need to. Start a new sidebar. If you haven't started using sidebar, it can be a very, very wonderful communication tool for your team, but it's going to put it in as an attachment so that you can have a conversation about it there as opposed to in the activity feed. Okay, goodbye sidebar, thank you. And then edit a doc, which is going to open it up in Microsoft Word. Update is going to be that update a new version. And then your big red on purpose remove, which is going to delete it permanently. Now, very important thing about deleting a document. There is exactly one way to restore a document that has been deleted, and it can only be done by a very select few admins inside your organization. That said, please do not delete documents. We are always going to recommend that you have maybe a trash bin, a trash project that you move it into just in case you do actually need that. Because the undelete option, while available for our admins to be able to bring stuff back, there is a time limit on it. So be very cautious in deleting documents. A lot of people don't even have access to delete documents for that exact reason. We need the ability to retain all of our stuff just in case.
Just project admins should be able to remove. So if you're like, I've never seen that before,
Mhm.
that's totally fine. This same drop-down list is available when you generate a docgen or when you've uploaded a document into a section. So you don't have to come into this docs section to get this drop-down list. Now, the bait stamping, combining documents, all has to be done here, but the other items you can find in other sections. And also in the activity feed where Val noted that document, it will have the same drop-down list as well. There's a few things that maybe you're going to have in the docs section, or a few more things that you're going to have in the docs section than your other sections, but there's a few different places you can go to access that.
All right, then our last icons over here, we can see this is again a little shortcut to edit, which is going to open it in Microsoft Word, our preview, and our download. Some of you very, very lucky users are in orgs that have AI enabled, and that is what these purple sparkles are. Anywhere inside your Filevine organization, any section where you see the purple sparkles, that is going to be some kind of AI option. Just to give you a quick preview of what our AI document review looks like. You start out with what kind of document it is. So let's pretend that this is a demand, and then it's going to ask what I want to analyze. This is my immediate option, extract key info. So once you do that, Filevine is going to follow the prompt that you have just given it and use AI to analyze what is in the contents of that document. One of the better things that I have seen in terms of AI development, I really love having it right here inside the document section. You get a little progress bar so you can watch it. Super, super helpful. So if you're at all interested in AI, please reach out to either us or your Filevine rep. My friend Kendall over at Vine Skills is our resident AI expert, and she will talk to literally anybody who has the slightest interest in AI, just as a note.
Yes, definitely. Um, these purple sparkles, as Val mentioned, are in sections. So you all may, if you do have AI, you may have sections like your medicals where you have prompts already built out. The version here is for maybe one-off documents that you don't want a full analysis run on, or that maybe you don't have a prompt built out because you don't get this document all of the time. So this is a great kind of way to still use that AI without having to have it baked into one of your sections.
Mhm. We love it. So now let's pretend we're starting a document from scratch. I don't have it. I don't have a template for it. I can't run a doc.gen. I'm going to use our very handy new blank document icon. It's going to be a Word document. Allow and open. My new computer is still learning all the things it has access to. So immediately we can see up here, new blank doc, and it's got a whole bunch of gibberish after it. Now the gibberish is going to be your clue that we are still online. We're inside of Filevine right now. We're on the internet, in the cloud. So any change that I make here is going to be reflected in that document inside of Filevine. So let's say, I just want to say, hello, Val. Jasmine is the best. Free help rocks. Nailed it. So I'm going to save this document, close it, back inside of Filevine, refresh. This one, January 8th. Boom. And there's all of my stuff. So I started with a completely blank Word document. It had nothing in it. And now it's got all of the stuff I did. And none of this required me to actually open Microsoft Word on my computer. It did it for me. None of this required me saving it into a local drive or into a SharePoint or into a Google Drive. I just have a document now. And I needed no local computer intervention. We love it. You can do this on your phone if you wanted to, if you have a Microsoft Word app. But you can see here this pending. This is telling us because it's a brand new document, it's still working on it. It will be OCR'd eventually, but as of this moment, I can't do a word search inside of it. It's going to have a hard time. You know, you could try, but it's still thinking, so let it process. If somebody else comes in, they want to see this document, they're like, oh my God, Val, why is this still called New Blank Doc? They're going to come in and help me because they're very nice and rename it for me. So I'm going to click on this and we're going to rename. January free help example, because we love it when our document titles are super specific. I'm also going to move this. It's not going to stay in my parent folder because we know that a bunch of documents in your parent folder is a messy document section. So let's move it somewhere that we will pretend is more appropriate. We're going to put this in Discovery. Click on Move. The entire thing now is here inside of our Discovery section. We can see all of the information about it. It was uploaded by Vine Skills team, which is who I am currently. We can see what size it is. There's no tags. It's not in a field. It's not in a note. If I wanted to, I could sign into VineSign, send this out. Maybe I need Jasmine to sign off on it to verify that I did in fact do the free help. And then of course she would very kindly do that with just a finger swipe because VineSign is the best. Down here, you can see my OCR has already completed, which is very comforting because it's 3 lines long. We don't want that to take a long time. So A+ to Filevine for immediately getting that so that all of my words inside that document are searchable in every single search function. All of them, no matter what, even if I handwrote it. So now let's do a new version. Pretend it's 2 weeks later. I've done a bunch of research. I need to edit this document and do a bunch more stuff to it. Going to click on my little pencil. It's going to open up Microsoft Word again. And here is my document as it currently exists.
You'll notice in the background in Filevine, there's a little lock on the document that Val has open and is editing. That indicates to you as another user that somebody has this document open and they may be making edits. And so another version might be coming or edits might be being made on it. So just keep that in mind with the lock.
Also, if a document stays locked for too long, like if somebody goes on vacation and they forgot to save and close, any project admin can manually unlock a document, but it will undo any changes that that person did. So like maybe shoot them a text like, hey, are we good? So I've put in 2 weeks later, free help, still rocks, because it does. Save this, close it. I'm going to refresh again. We can see that that little lock icon has gone away because we're all done with it. Double click to open it and I can see there's my update. So if we look at the information flyout for this document specifically and come to this versions, we can now see how many there are. We've got January free help example. You can see because I changed the title. New blank doc, version 1, version 2, version 3. So we're already getting a bunch of information about when it was created, by whom. So if I come in here to January free help example, I'm going to edit this version info, 2 weeks later, update. So when somebody comes in and they say, why are there 3 versions of this document? What are you doing in here, Val? You need to calm down. They're already going to see, I had to add in that 2-week update that you asked me to do, and now that has been completed, and that's what version 3 is. So this is different versions. This is how we specify what those different versions are and put in any notes that people might need. But let's say I want to go back to the last version. I am extremely upset. Val should not have done any of these things. It's completely the wrong document. This is not okay. If I click on this version 2, it's immediately going to open up and show me what that version was. And this is something that a lot of people don't know that we can do. They know that Filevine will show you that it's the 3rd version, but they think you have to do a lot of work to get to what that version was. But we don't. It's right here in a preview, no extra effort involved. Go back. I can do the same for our first one, which of course is not going to have anything, but what I'm going to do is take this second version, which is the one that I want, and I'm going to restore it. 1 click. Version successfully restored. Thank you, Filevine. Very happy about it. And you can see it's immediately putting this note for us that this was created from version 2. I can still see which document was version 2 so that I can see where this originated from. And you'll see that it also changed the title here in our current version. So let's refresh again. Double click this open. And you can see my 2 weeks later is now gone. And this is going to continue over and over again. For as many times as this document is edited, you're going to see all of those prior versions. You're going to be able to add in those notes. Why did you make another version? What kinds of edits are you doing? And of course, at any time, you can note it to start a new conversation. One thing that I really like seeing people do inside the activity feed, we'll have the original note or task where we start talking about it, and then we're going to keep tagging it back to each other. So I'm going to say, Jackie, I made updates, please review. So now this is going to be a task for Jackie. Jackie's going to come in. She's going to see all of the stuff that I did. She can open up that document, make any edits she wants, or she can task me back. Here's the updates that I need you to make. And all of that conversation is happening right there. The reason that this is something that I really want to emphasize for you guys is because this is going to cut back on a lot of that internal communication that can really clog up our inboxes. We don't need to send emails back and forth about documents that we're collaborating on. We certainly don't need a whole bunch of Teams messages or Slack messages. You can just keep it right here inside of the project. This is also super helpful if somebody has to go on vacation or they take a leave of absence. What's going on with this complaint? Everybody's going to see exactly what's going on in this complaint because we're talking about it in that case file. We love an activity feed conversation.
And there is a way to attach additional documents when you're adding them in. There's like a little paperclip icon that allows you to attach additional documents. So if you have other documents that have come up or anything like that, you can attach those there as well.
Bear with me. I have no idea how I zoomed in like this.
I was literally thinking the same thing. I'm like, whoa, that got intense.
God, all of them. It is. All right. I'm going to have to study this mouse. It's a lot of stuff going on.
It might have been a pinch in or a pinch out
Yeah.
on your yeah. Another note, if you're in the docs section and you have that tree pulled up that Val mentioned that she loves that view better, you can drag and drop the documents here into one of the folders on the left-hand side if you don't want to move or like, go into the ellipses and move them that way. Move or copy, whichever you'd like. If you're not in the tree view, it's not going to work. So just make sure you pull up that tree view so that you can drag and drop docs. And then One other note, and Val, sorry if you were getting to this.
Mhm.
Here at the top, I've had a few folks ask, hey, it's not showing up in alphabetical order, it's showing up in some random order. And there is some filtering here. We
Mhm.
have it already listed in name, but most recent is going to be the default. And so if you would like to switch it to name, just make sure that you go up there to the top to make
Mhm.
any adjustments. That choice is sticky, meaning that when you exit the page and come back, you're not going to have to reselect name. It should already be kind of filtered in whatever you've chosen.
Mhm. Super, super good, Tim. We get that one a lot. Another related one that I wanted to point out to you guys, right here in this date, let's say that we have it sorted by most recent. This is most recently modified. The date that we're looking here is the last update, not when it was created. If you want that created date, we have to go into our information flyout, information uploaded on January 8th at 2:33. That was this past one that I did. All the way down here is going to give us the last save date when it was created. I created this one in 2020. That's what Microsoft Word told it. I need to update Microsoft Word. But it's super important because a lot of times people are going to come in and say, this is not the newest one. This is not the oldest one. It is the last modified date. So for every single version, we want to go in and see very, very first one, January 8th. Pretend it's a new day, and this one says like January 10th. So super, super important tip, especially if you are using most recent as your sort. Now, let's do a document merge. I have a bunch of stuff inside of my discovery. I have a half of this and a half of that. I need to put together all of my exhibits. Let's pick these two. So if I just select the one and I do this combine, it's going to ask me, do I want to attach any more documents? It's going to bring up the entire list of everything inside this project, or I can upload something from my computer, or I can do a blank document. So I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to add in, let's say, Black Panther, and I'm going to add in a blank document. It's creating a brand new blank document for me. Here we go. It's just opened up in Microsoft Word, and I'm going to add in center. Pretend I'm taking more time to do this. Bold, bigger, and save. So now I've got this blank document that I needed, and it's here inside of the documents that I'm merging together. Now I need this to be in the middle, so I'm going to drag and drop it and move it up. Boom. Click on next. What do I want to save it as? Nailed it. And combine. Boom, there we go. So I'm going to open up and preview my document with exhibit. We start out with my very first one. There's my exhibit A intro, and then here's the rest of the document that we had down there in the second one that I used to combine it. So important notes on this one. Obviously, it came back as a PDF. It gave me that prompt, what do you want to call it? And it stayed inside of the folder that I am currently in. Being able to add that blank document in immediately, super helpful pro tip. Being able to pick another document anywhere inside of the project, also very helpful. For example, if you're putting together maybe a bunch of meds and medical bills, if you have those in separate folders, you don't have to go and move them all around. You just pick them out of that list of project documents to select whatever it is that you want to put together. Now, inside of this document, if we look at our versions, there's only the current version. And this is also very important to note. It's not telling us what documents it originated from. It's just telling us this is a document. So it could be in your best interest to put in a note, let's say version info combined from, and I'm just gonna shorthand. That way, when people come in, they're going to know this is what I did to create this version. I started out with these two and I put it in. And you do want to be as specific as possible. Again, just pretend that somebody's coming in and they have no idea what's happening. Be as specific as possible always. I'll never stop saying it because I've done entirely too much research coming into other people's cases. Inside of our info, again, we're going to see this exact time and also May because that is the day it was created. It's not giving you the last updated date for those two documents, just this final one that we have just done together. Now, one thing that I really want to spend a little bit of time on is our PDF editor. A lot of people sleep on the PDF editor because we've all been using Adobe for, ever. We know that our Word documents is going to open up Microsoft Word for us. Our Excel sheets will open up Excel and our PowerPoints will open up PowerPoint. In our PDF, the number one question that I get when we start doing document edits is this going to open up in Adobe? And the answer is no, because Filevine has its own native PDF editor. So inside of this preview, which is just the double click or the eyeball, whatever it is you do to get this document open in another tab, we're going to click on this little pencil icon. That's our edit. If you hover over it, it's telling you if you click this, you're editing. So when I click on my edit button, I get tons of options, so many things that we are looking at right now. So let's start left to right. This is just our menu. We can save as. If we come into our settings, our language is English, keyboard shortcuts, and advanced settings. This is just going to be your standard things. What are we going to be adding into it? This is going to be our preview panel, so we can see all of our documents. We can reorder our documents. You can delete pages as needed, and you can also do multiples at the same time. If you have an outline, we'll see this a lot for things that come from external sources that are, very complicated and made in Adobe with all of those headers. And then last up, the advanced options. Again, you can optimize it if you need to. You can bring in pages from another document, and then also you can start searching the text. Now, again, we're still pending, so I'm not going to try and search right now because I want to give Filevine some time to, start reading. View controls is exactly what it sounds like. How are we looking at it? And that's another one that's very familiar to us if we use other document management systems or programs and a zoom. Now, by default, we are on select to be able to select things. You also have your hand for panning, and that's going to be a drag to scroll. We're also by default going to be inside of view. So let's look at our other stuff. Annotate. Look how many things come up. Shapes, again, look how many things come up. A lot of learning Filevine is just clicking stuff and seeing what happens. Your forms here is how you're going to put in your fillable fields. Anything that you need somebody to fill in, like maybe a name, you can put in a date, and of course you can add in your signatures. The signature is going to ask you what color do you want it to be. I get a lot of attorneys who are very preferential for the blue signature. They love it. It's very old school. I'm here for it. When you do your drop down, it's going to ask you, do you want it to be opaque in any way? Do you want to change the stroke? Or do you want to update to yet another color? You can see here, we've got a combo box field. That's just right here. And then what options do you want to put in? We've got a list box field. We've got radio buttons. I love me a good radio button or a checkbox if you prefer a checkbox, which I get. Free text and a text field if you want to put stuff in. So that's just in the forms. Within the actual edits, I can come into the text that's inside of this document to change it. I can move it. If I've got a text box that's like an inch off, I can take it and put it into a different spot. Your measures, if you've got a bunch of images in here, you can put in a ruler. Watermarks and stamps are very hot buttons. I see people who very strongly love them and people who very strongly hate them. I really like all of our stamps. So if we put in, for example, top secret, I don't want anybody else looking at this. I'm going to make that bigger. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Come into my style. Stop moving. I'm going to just make this a little bit invisible. Bunch of stuff we can do in here. You can do a call out comment. You can add in regular comments. You can attach another file inside of this document. Maybe you have something that you're referencing outside of here. Insert an image. Again, a little signature line. Your redaction is where we're going to get a lot of action inside of here. So let's say we're going to label this top secret again. And I'm going to do purple. Boom, marked for redaction. label is top secret. We can come in here, put a comment. Is secret. So the point is, we can do a whole bunch here and people have no idea. There's so many options inside of the PDF editor that people think you can only do inside of an Adobe. But this is a wonderful resource and an opportunity for people who don't want to keep paying for those licenses. Maybe you want to just have one person who has that Adobe Pro and everybody else is going to come here inside of Filevine. So play with it, look at it. Do remember that any Word documents inside of Filevine, you can immediately convert into a PDF, and all of the stuff that you're trying to do with that PDF, you can do right here. So again, we're keeping it inside of the Filevine universe. We don't have a bunch of windows open. We're not saving them into our computer to have all of these documents only available to one person because it's local. All of the things right here are available to you that you need to do with your documents. Now, let's come back here. I'm going to do a couple more things. Back to our top. One thing that a lot of people ask me is how to create a new folder. So let's say I've come in, I've made this combined document, I did all of my redactions, this is the final that I'm going to send it out, and I realize I don't have a folder for any of my final documents that I've sent out to, for example, opposing counsel. I'm going to click on the folder that I want my folder to be underneath. If it's a standard folder all the way on the left, it's going to go underneath the parent. If it's a subfolder, you pick what you need it to be a sub of. So I'm just going to click on Black Panther. I'm going to add a new folder, final, drafts, and there it is. What I really, really like about what just happened, which again is a fairly new offering that Filevine just rolled out, is this brand new folder looks different than the rest of my folders. It starts out as just an outline of a folder without being filled in like the rest of them. The reason it looks like that is because this brand new folder doesn't have anything inside of it. It's entirely empty. This was such a game changer when Filevine rolled it out because you can see very easily what does not have a folder in it. So if you're looking for something, you don't know where it is, it's not in an expected location, it doesn't have the right name and searching isn't working, you can skip that folder entirely because you already know there's nothing in it. So let's come back here. I've got my doc with exhibit. I'm going to move it into my final drafts. And bam, now that folder is filled in. So this is another one of those things. It's not a huge thing. It's something that's very easy to miss, but it's super helpful if you know that it's there because it's something that's going to really help you if you are looking for something, scrolling through, taking an inventory of your document section. Also, just like not being able to move things when you are in this top view of your folders instead of the tree, that is going to be the same for adding a new folder. And that's one of the ones that will really trip people up when they're trying to add one. Like every single time I do it, it just clicks on the folder. So I'm going to put this back over on the side where it belongs. And now we're going to do very quickly a little bit of sharing. So inside my new final drafts folder, I have this and I want to send it out to somebody. We're going to share this with an external party. I come into my share link tab. I'm going to create a share link and I'm going to make sure that it's only accessible by people with the password. And this is something that I'm going to say literally every time. I'm a broken record on it. Don't even bother making a share link without having a password. Have a password every single time, no matter what. Keep your information secure. I'm going to pick an easy password today. 4 exclamation. I ran out. Valerie. Boom. I'm going to make this active for 60 days and save. So what I've got here is a link that I can share with anybody in the whole world, and they can share it with anybody in the whole world, but the link still isn't going to work if you don't have that password. I'm going to click on this shortcut to copy it to my clipboard. You could also click on this, which is going to open an email draft, just like that email button that we talked about earlier. And now pretend I am other Val, paste it in, put in your password. Oof, pretend I got that right. Hang on. I immediately forgot when I made it. Nailed it. Shazam. So this is what our external party, other Val in the other universe is going to see. I've got one document. I can download it if I want to, and that is it. I don't have the ability to edit this. And this is really, really, really important to know, especially if you're coming from a Dropbox or a SharePoint or a Google Drive. When we're sharing externally in this way, you are just giving a document to somebody. You're not allowing them to edit what it is that you own. And that's one of the reasons that we see people adding in guest users to their org so they can access a document just like we do inside of Filevine. An external share link is just giving it to them. They can't do anything to the one that you already own. Now, if, as Jasmine mentioned earlier, I've got a bunch of documents that I need to share with somebody, maybe I need to share the entirety of our discovery folder. And this is another one where it's very important to understand what it is that we're clicking. By clicking on the discovery folder, I have opened the discovery folder. If I want to share it, I have to go back to the parent above that. So I'm going to click on our discovery folder, come to our share link, create a new share link, and again, I'm going to add a password. Now, what this folder is going to allow us to do is a two-way share. A two-way share is really fun because we can give a document to this external party and they can give us documents back that are going to upload directly into our organization. Again, I can't edit the things that they're sending me. They can't edit the things that I've sent to them. We're just giving each other documents. So again, I'm going to keep this for 60 days. When I copy this link and open it, ta-da! So now we've got a very slightly different view. Over here on the left, we can see the folder tree for this share link, which is of course just the one folder. And when I click into that folder, I can see all of the documents that are inside it. So again, I can download all of these as an external party, and that's it. But now I've got this new button to upload things. Anything that I upload here is going to go directly into that Filevine org. So anybody who's in that project is going to be able to see all of the new documents. If, let's keep that copying, I decide maybe I made a mistake, I don't want to share this anymore, 60 days was too long. If I click on this remove doc share link and somebody tries to use that URL, it's just not going to do anything anymore. The URL doesn't work. It's not pointing to anything. It's not directing you anywhere because it's an invalid link and it doesn't work anymore. So in the event that you have shared something accidentally and you need people to no longer be able to access it, it is very, very easy to cancel that link. Any project admin, anybody can come in and just click on that remove. Now that is everything inside of our document section in a very, very, very quick run through. I would usually split this into two sections, but I just wanted to pause really fast to see if there were any closing questions in our Q&A.
While we wait, Val, thank you as always for your wealth of knowledge. Hopefully, you all learned something today. I did put those items in the chat. As a reminder, Vine Skills is a month-to-month kind of operation. So there's no obligation for long-term contracts when you work with us. If you're like, hey, we need some serious help with document management or just in Filevine in general, we're here to help. You can feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you connected with somebody that can help set you on the right path for success in Filevine. If you're not sure where to start, we totally have you covered. We offer free Filevine audits that will go through your system and kind of give you some guidance on where to start or what things just need to be optimized within your Filevine. As I'm sure you all know, Filevine constantly grows with you, and we here are experts in kind of all of the new aspects of Filevine and can help you continuously grow your Filevine with those new features as well. This recording will be up on our website. We do record all of our free help, so feel free to look at those. And again, feel free to reach out if you need anything. Of course, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully we see you next week. Val, thank you again so much and see you all later.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.